Hubway is expanding its bike sharing stations to parts of Dorchester and Roxbury, with plans for more expansion in East Boston. The moves are changing the map for getting around the city, and they're also changing expectations for people in the neighborhoods. That includes our guest, founder of Roxbury Rides, Michelle Cook. Thank you very much for being with us, Michelle.
Thank you for having me.
I imagine there was a point in your life you never would have thought you'd be commuting from the neighborhoods to downtown on a bicycle. So what changed that?
Never. It really was, I got a bike at a yard sale, started riding just for fun, wanted to keep going further, so I just continued to ride farther and further, and then decided I really like biking, so let me try to commute to work, and that's how it began 2 years ago.
Now, biking to work, it's not like going down the Cape and going on the bike trail.
Right.
I mean, this is, you're on main streets and lots of traffic. I mean, it's not a fun thing to do.
Sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. Part of me biking from where I bike and areas that I bike is to promote biking as a form of transportation, a form of getting to work, not necessarily using a vehicle. I also use public transportation when I have to. But it is, you have a better feeling when you get to work. My endorphins are higher. I think clearly. I'm not sitting on a bus with crying babies and yelling people and things like that. And there are some challenges, but I think I work through those challenges. I try to work through those challenges.
We're going to give an example of one of these challenges, which is on Hill Avenue. It's a wide street, it's lots of traffic, and there are times they use every single lane on that road.
Yes, so I actually travel from Hill Ave at the top by Franklin Park down to downtown Boston to my commute to work. And I will say that there are times, and I have to break the rules, that I get on the sidewalk. It is a little bit a danger. There are sharrows which allow bikers to share the road with the motorists. But
now, for those of us who don't know what they're called, even though we go by them all the time,
right.
Sharrows meaning?
So sharrows are what you see when you see the bicycles with the double arrows. What that is telling the motorist is that bikers are allowed to share that road, hence the word sharrows. They're allowed to share that road. And so even though I use the sharrows, I try to stay to my right so that I can give the motorist the opportunity to go around me. But I also have to look for the parked cars and people opening their doors or pedestrians stepping out from behind cars. So it can be a little tricky. So there are some spaces where the sharrows can be very scary. And I just recently posted a video on the sharrows, and it was very scary to watch.
We're talking with Michelle Cook of Roxbury Rides. Talk about the sidewalks, because sometimes people use them to walk too, and you all gotta get along.
Right, we all have to get along. So I look at the sidewalks, and one thing I try to do is be very cautious of the pedestrians. And if that means I have to get off my bike and walk, then I'm going to get off my bike and walk. I know a lot of my cycling friends won't agree with me, but sometimes I have to ride the sidewalk for my safety. I have been kind of pushed off the road, and that can be a little bit scary. But at the same time, when I make myself known and people see me, they usually, for the most part, respect me. And I keep all my lights on, and I use my hand signals, and I have a little bell. So people see me, and I'm kind of known around my neighborhood. So people are pretty okay. If there are some cars that whiz by. So there's good days and there's bad days.
I go back a ways to a time when you get on a train at Dudley Station,
right? And
you could be downtown in something like 12 minutes. And nowadays you can't do that. So how does biking change that scenario for people now?
So I'll give you a perfect example. If I take public transportation, I have to either take 2 buses or a bus and a train to get from Dorchester to downtown Boston. With my bike, it takes me about 20 to 25 minutes to get going the same distance. And I think that's crucial for me. If I have an early morning meeting, if I have to do any teaching, I can just get right on my bike and go. sometimes I do switch off and use the T as a form of, if it's raining or something like that, I'll throw my bike on the front of a bus so that I don't get too soaking wet. But it's much easier I think, to ride there. I get to my job in at least within 30 minutes. That's tops.
Well, aside from your own preferences, why did you start Roxbury Ride?
I started Roxbury Rides because I wanted people of color to see other means of transportation. I wanted people to get healthy. I have another organization, Operation BFit, which I do holistic health and wellness. But I wanted to have fun ways for people to start to exercise. And I used to run, and I don't run as much because my knees are just not what they used to be. And biking actually allows me to exercise, feel good, get healthy, and it's somewhat of meditation for me as well.
Now, of course, it also occurs to me that as we've seen over the past few years, a lot of the infrastructure and safety features for bikes have been developed after a certain amount of outcry from people who use them. And now I guess maybe we'll have more outcry from other parts of the city.
Absolutely. I am definitely big. Roxbury Rides is also working on the infrastructure of Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan. Better bike paths, better pedestrian paths, being respectful of everyone, the motorists, the cyclists, and pedestrians, because we all have to share the road. This is our city, and we have to learn to share, and that's really important. So I'm going to be working hard on trying to talk about and work on having better infrastructure for everyone.
Well, speaking of infrastructure, and since you mentioned Mattapan, are you looking forward to that new stretch of the Greenway along the Neponset River?
I am. I'm so excited. So I've ridden part of it, and I cannot wait until it's open, because it's going to be beautiful, and people are going to be able to get to where they're going very quickly without worrying about traffic.
We should mention that if people want to find out more about Roxbury Rides, you've got something on the internet they can check out?
I do. I am on Instagram. I am also on Facebook. So it's Roxbury Rides, Roxbury Rides. I am also posting it on my website at Operation BFit, which is www.operation.bfit.com. And I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. Roxbury Rides, so I'm everywhere.
And you're on the bike too.
I am on the bike.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Michelle Cook from Roxbury Rides.